ready as I will ever be. Let's call the meeting to order. At 5:40. And should we forego update? Personal.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We have a pretty full agenda, I think.
Got a lot to cover tonight. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you to our guest Micah. It's always good to have you here and give your comments and feedback. And I first ask is, do we have any additions or corrections to the March meeting minutes? Okay, can I get a motion? No, we're not even voting, are we?
I think you technically have a quorum. You've got 3 out of 5.
Okay,
So you could.
can I get a motion to accept the March meeting minutes?
I
Yes, thank you, Bernice.
that you accept the meeting
Thank you.
minutes.
I'll second. For a second, okay, great, thanks. And, all in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Okay, so accepted. And the agenda looks great to me. I don't think we need to, well, technically. Any additions or corrections to the agenda for tonight's meeting? Okay, can I get another motion to accept tonight's agenda?
I move that we accept the agenda.
Thank you, Bernice.
Second.
Second by Chris, thank you. And all in favor of approving this agenda?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, passed and it's going.
I don't really have a whole lot. We've spent, how many, 12? Budget committee was in session 4 times. We finally approved the biennial budget for 25-27 this week.
Awesome.
And so that's kind of taken the majority of our focus. And so I don't really have a whole lot. We were just kind of plateauing from that and kind of moving forward with extra business, so.
For people who don't realize, that means that they have sat through 4 consecutive Mondays of 7 to 10 p.m. meetings
Yeah, long time.
to
Yeah.
get to a budget.
7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
7, yes,
No.
yeah, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. 4
Yeah.
consecutive Mondays. That's a lot. That
It is a lot.
It's a lot. So thank you.
I've only been on council for 4 months and I come from zero background for other than planning commission, and we didn't do the budget. Because I wasn't on there for that biennium, but I remember 3 months ago when I was here, you presented the tentative budget and I was like, oh, that's a lot of information. And so
Yeah,
that was a very good stepping stone and like
good.
a little slap to go, oh, there's 15 other departments that have to go over this, and yours is so very organized.
Thank
And
you.
we didn't have a whole lot of questions for you, I don't think. So.
Yep.
Yes, I was like, wow, that's a lot. I'm gonna have to really catch up on the budget stuff, and then here we are. So I wouldn't say I'm a pro, but I'm better than I was a month ago, so my eyes won't. be
Lots of
quite so
learning.
bad.
Lots of learning just happened in the past couple of months.
Lots of lingo here too.
Yeah.
Yes.
For transit,
Yeah,
so.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. We typically, because we are not funded by the general fund at
Mhm.
all, don't get a ton of questions. You know, we might have some policy type. I mean, they start with funding, but they get into policy, which is not really what
Yeah,
we're there for at that particular point in time. So I typically get lucky.
you do a very good
and it
job
comes
of
back
organizing though.
Well, thank you.
And so
Thank you.
it's not just luck, it's you
I
being
appreciate that.
prepared and you're
Mhm.
always able to answer any questions that anyone has. And so that's
Thank
much
you.
appreciated for everything, but for myself, because I'm learning, it takes a lot of the edge off of, all the new things.
Right.
because
Yeah. Well,
You've
thank
got
you.
it all
overload.
together. Your
Yeah.
department is very.
Good. We're trucking.
They do it.
We do it. Well, thank you. So we have a budget. It's official.
Yay. Okay. New business. Taken away for ridership.
Well, I was just gonna go straight into, for the sake of time. I gave you a graphic of Estacada's ridership. And, well, if it isn't Karen coming to join us. See, how are you?
I'm okay.
Come join us, you want some dinner?
Oh, no, I ate before I came.
Oh, sorry, good seat for you. Good to see you. So, where do I even start? Estacada. So Estacada was started, I believe it was about 2013 actually, and it was started as, what did they call it? Job access. JARC was the grant, and it was a jobs access grant, and it was specifically for transit, in areas that are low income or rural, to get people to work. So that particular line has never really gotten a lot of funding, and therefore it's never really run more than 4, might have been the least amount of runs when I came along, and we've added a run, and then we lost some funding, so we took a run away. Anyway, I believe for a route to really be successful, you need more than 4 or 5 runs a day. However, you also need funding. So,
And riders.
and riders, yes, thank you. And so, when we took some funding away, we saw ridership drop. And actually, if you look at this, then we came back, we found some funding. I think stiff funding might have been where the funding came from. We added runs. We really worked on that route, and you can see that in 2019, it was really starting to come along, and we hit it really hard. 2020, it was really going gangbusters, and then COVID hit. So then you have COVID, and it's just kind of struggled along since. So then with stiff funds, after COVID, we came back with more runs. Then we partnered, 2 years ago, I think, Muna, with the county. We were able to secure flat funding, which is a federal lands access program funding to add runs to Estacada. So as you all know, we redesigned Estacada. We interlined it with the village shuttle, meaning one bus, which is hiding under the graph here. The county bought 2 new buses. We wrapped them, we co-branded and wrapped them together. Sam Connecting Communities, Mount Hood Express. The back has the various cities, stops. The main stops are listed on the back. By doing that, we also added, it runs 7 days a week now. And it runs 7 times a day. So we finally got it up to 7, still not great, but as you can see, we are really starting to get back to our pre-COVID numbers, in just the past couple of months by making those changes. Granted, we've also added a day of the week, and so I don't know that the productivity is that much better yet, meaning we've added more service, so our ridership should be going up. The best part, in my opinion, about what we did was the city of Sandy has had a goal for a long time to be able to serve Vista Loop. And in particular, the apartments at Vista Loop. But they've always been just outside of our, any of our routes. And they're enough out of town that you can't really just add that apartment complex to a shopper shuttle or to the Sam route. It really takes the schedule off. So we, even during our transit master plan, didn't find a really good way to fit that apartment complex into any of our routes. It would have had to be a new route of its own, which is, more expensive. By interlining, we have the ability now to add, because, it then becomes village shuttle. So on our way out and on our way in, we have been able to serve, Vista Loop. And that area is also starting to grow. You're seeing a lot of construction out there right now, and there are townhomes and apartments going in as well as, just single family homes. So I really expect this to grow. I think the ridership will grow, and I think especially that apartment complex, the more that they see our vehicles coming in, the more we'll see ridership. So it's actually been pretty exciting to be able to creatively find a way to serve a part of Sandy that we otherwise would have been struggling to find the funding to do. So we've done it.
And the community is really, really in need of services.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Estacada does pay us a very small amount in support of this. I've never asked them to increase the amount that they pay, and there's a couple reasons why. They are technically in TriMet's boundaries, and so their businesses pay the payroll tax to TriMet. So they are paying for transit, and their city has chosen to keep us as a budget line item, just because they value this line. And so if we can find funding in other creative ways, I'd like to continue to do that without going back to them to increase, because again, they are technically in a different jurisdiction. And so if I can keep their part of the funding low, I'd like to be able to do that. That being said, they have reached out to Muna, who, if you don't know, Muna lives in Estacada, and she has sat on their transportation system meetings as well as several other meetings. So recently they reached out to Muna about changing our route to serve their industrial area. And so I'm going to turn it over to Muna.
Okay,
I'll talk about that.
sure. And I did want to add, when we did that interline, it is also increase our within city limits frequency.
Oh.
Because we run it through the city month and so. And then in your packet, you'll see the schedule highlighted are the changes that we're proposing to make. We'll start with the fact that our drivers said we need more time at the end of this route. So we are adding 10 minutes to the end of the route. Just to accommodate their time period. It's too tight of a squeeze for that. And then we will throw in the industrial complex. And one of our drivers came up with an excellent idea. So you cross the highway to go to the industrial complex. So currently we go straight up Eagle Creek Road into town. With this change, we'll turn at Folsom, we'll take a left at Folsom Road. We'll get on to Estacada Highway, Highway 224. And then we will stop at that industrial complex, which is on Park Road. And originally we thought, well, we'll just pull in and they'll just walk to where they're going. But one of the drivers noticed that there is a road that goes all the way through to River Mill. And it allows us to kind of trickle through all of the businesses or a majority of them. And then come out on River Mill Road. And, to the right side of River Mill Road, there is a growing industrial complex. Which eventually will be full, so it'll allow us to serve all of those without forcing people to walk, you know, a half a mile just to get to their job. And then it will go straight up River Mill. So it will have to cross the whole highway, which right now isn't a huge concern. There are large gaps in that so that they have free roam across. But you'll see on the back of the little pamphlet or papers I put together, Escada does have in their TSP plan to put either a roundabout or a stoplight at River Mill. So as that traffic increases, you'll know that we'll have something that will help us safely cross the highway.
I have one question on that, Ralph. I have a vet investigator. Does it go past the vet?
It absolutely
It does.
does. Are you talking about the one right there on Sixth Street?
Yeah, this is by the.
Eagle Farm.
Yeah, we do.
Cause there's a whole bunch of apartments being built between that and
Yes.
the highway for,
Yes, so that's the reason why we'll go back up River Mill. So River Mill cuts in before all of those apartments. So we'll be able to come down through town like we do now. We'll stop at City Hall, then we'll reverse the route, go back through town. Cut down River Mill, go back to the industrial park, go back up Folsom, and continue on the route as it is. It does cut out a few stops that we currently serve. However, they're very, very low, ridership in those spots because it's so, rural.
are you going to stop at those apartments or near those apartments?
Yes,
or
there is a
places like-
stop right there, yes,
Okay,
yes, they already have a stop put in,
cause there's like hundreds of apartments. being
Yes.
built.
yes. So there, yes, they will be plotted for that, so we won't lose out on that. And sorry, I kind of jumped from the times to what we were doing. So I'd like to go back to that and just to accommodate the time changes that we've made by adding 10 minutes to the route. We're also adding to the three highlighted at the top, we're moving them up 10 minutes. So that the routes don't overlap. Otherwise, we would end up needing 3 drivers to run all of the routes that are there. So it's a slight change there. And then, so total time for 3 of our routes, we'll add 20 minutes to it. And then the other ones, it's roughly 10. It's not really adding 20 minutes. They'll be moved 20 minutes total. Because we're adding, so for example, the 8:30 was starting at 8:20. And then 5 o'clock was 4:50 and so on. So those will move up a little bit and then, also we'll add a little extra cushion in the end of the route.
When are we gonna start this?
So probably with the new bid, this will start. We wanna, right now we have this public notice. We have this public notice on all the buses so that people can, provide us with any input that they have.
Oh, right.
You should take your little dog to the vet on the bus.
It's,
I wondered if she would be allowed on there, cause there'll become a time where I can't drive it.
Yes, she is,
Unfortunately, yeah.
as long as she is under ownership's control and on a leash that's no longer than 1 foot.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
changing the ORS as we speak.
She would be on my laptop.
That's fine, as long as she's not on her own seat.
Oh, yeah.
So, as Muna said, our next steps, this is in the very, very young phase, of putting it together. We haven't even really vetted it by our, operations team, other than some drivers. So Muna will attend this Estacada Business Board meeting on the 17th to talk about serving the industrial complex in Estacada. And then, as she said, our next steps are, we have notices on the buses so that we can get feedback. The best feedback we can get are riders. The very first time I did a bunch of changes to the Estacada schedule, I got some writer feedback that I was like, oh, that didn't occur to me. Should have posted that on the bus. So anyway, lessons learned as you go along life. So we have all of this on the bus, so hopefully we can get, a lot of feedback from passengers. And this is kind of our first public process of getting feedback from our board members and the public who attend these meetings. And then, as she said, the drivers will go back out, the drivers select their bid every 4 months. So that happens again in August, we believe, or a new bid in August. So hopefully we'll be ready to have it in the new schedule for the drivers to choose their bids by August. So we have a couple of months to really kind of nail down the times, but this is our thought process.
It's really confusing now. The last time they had that road, it was directly from Sandy to the blocked off because it was.
There's a lot of construction and we had to make a lot of it. Yeah,
It was strictly.
absolutely. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of construction happening in Estacada right now for sure.
They would be marked for roads better, so you know where they were headed,
Yeah, they should, they are currently tentatively slated to open the road back up, in 2 days, actually on the 6th. So, we'll see. I did speak to there the other night, and they are in the process of taking the road, so I think they are pretty quick.
Oh, cool. Well, I did notice that there was a lot of building going on. Along.
Yeah, they're gonna put a whole new subdivision in there. So.
So I think unless you guys have some suggestions or comments, or you don't like the idea at all, you'll hear about it again, but not by our next board meeting, so.
Do you want to take over that Estacada area, or you want to work in combination with the, okay, that's
Yeah.
your plan, your future, I mean, your ideal for.
Yes, so there are 3 routes that serve Estacada. TriMet serves Estacada, we serve Estacada, and then the county has a new route from Estacada City Hall to Clackamas Community College. Our purpose of serving Estacada is more about getting Sandy residents to Estacada if there's something that they need, but it's actually more the other way around, which is getting people who live in Estacada to jobs and goods in Sandy. We have a Fred Meyer, we have more to offer currently than Estacada. It's a growing community. It's also about a connection, so if we can get people to Estacada, then they can connect onto TriMet and get to areas into Portland that would otherwise on our routes be a much longer route for somebody. So, we are not looking to be Estacada's transit agency. We are just have it as a destination on one of our service lines.
So if in the year 2060, Estacada opens up their own bus line, you're not in competition.
I am not. No. Thank goodness.
What I see the biggest help in the escape route is that as they're building all those apartments, somebody's gonna live in them that's going to work in Sandy.
Absolutely, that's right, yes. Yes, there's benefits to being able to move around and not be stuck in one community, right? I will say that when the county started their Estacada line, we did have conversations about that operating out of here, just like Mount Hood Express does, and I'm happy to contract with them. For, if they did decide to do that, they came up with a different plan, but, if their contractor was housed here and they wanted to house the vehicle here, then we would accommodate them, but it would not be our service. Yeah. Yep. Speaking of, I'll move us into operations contract because it's next. And we have a signed contract as of yesterday with RTW. So, it was approved by the city council. Monday ago, not this Monday, but 2 Mondays ago, I guess now. We had a lot of back and forth because, we just wanted to get the wage scale right, so they gave all of the staff a 6% raise. And we had to find a way to fit that into a new wage scale that kept everyone whole and didn't give some people more of a raise than others and so forth. And so there was a lot of back and forth on how to make that happen, and but also how to have a logical wage scale going forward. So that was kind of the final thing that took a little bit to get to a signed contract, but it is signed. And we're starting to exchange information about they're having equipment sent because they use a different dash cam system than NV uses and things of that nature. So
Has Trump's cuts done anything damage for transportation?
not yet. Nope. There are some differences, but probably not for this meeting. Because we're not there yet. I mean, we are not filling out grant applications yet. But that's a good question.
Yeah, I didn't count on.
So like that just means you're holding off on it.
No, so. Are you meaning the federal policies?
Yeah, just like-
Conversation? Okay.
Yeah, what I hear flying is like way different.
Yeah, I'm sure. So you receive funding directly from the federal government. I receive funding funneled through ODOT. So,
And some too, but mostly through that.
yes.
Okay.
So agencies who receive direct federal funding did receive letters that you need to abide by various new policies in order to receive those funding. I personally have not received that letter because everything goes through ODOT. I have received a memo that went out at the end of January. If you guys want to have this conversation, do we want to have this conversation?
It's honestly about like, I guess it comes into the payroll tax, that's what, like the future. Is there something like,
Well, that's a state package, and I will talk about that in a little bit.
oh, I just probably jumped ahead. That's
Yeah,
what I was trying to-
Yeah, so federally, there are new policies. The memo we received is that, the new policies for transit are that you have to have higher than the national average in birth and marriage rates. Is number one. Number two is that you have to follow the federal guidelines towards masks wearing, which is don't wear them. And number three is that you have to follow federal immigration policy in order to receive federal funds. So you cannot be a safe haven state, which Oregon is. So there is some conversations about. There are various agencies talking about how to become compliant with. What do we do if ICE gets on the bus? Kind of compliance, because we do have to be in line with federal policy if we're receiving federal funds. What I meant by we aren't filling grants out is typically when we fill out federal grants. The last administration wanted to know things, they called it the Justice 40, and they wanted to see that 40% of your funding was going to low income and equity and, various, populations were targeted, and I don't know what the grant applications look like yet for this new administration. Well, and I do know that, I mean, we have been given a memo that is, they are looking more at, do you have higher marriage and birth rate?
Yeah.
So, the policies have changed, but I don't know what the grants look like yet. I will say that, we do have federal funding secured for the next year.
Oh, that's.
We don't for the second year of the biennium yet, and I don't know what that will look like, and, I don't know how that will turn out, but we have secured 2026 as federal funds, so. I say we, ODOT has.
That's good.
That is good.
That's what I was.
That is, yes,
Is that,
yeah, and I think we're about to head into what you were asking. With legislation.
yeah, 'cause I said, I'll probably get more information from you that's more accurate than. What I get.
Than what you hear. So, I didn't move my handy dandy. Do we have questions about the contract? Do we want to move into legislation?
I guess I'll just ask the question. Do they keep anyone on?
That was my question.
Oh, wait, she's on the agenda.
Oh, she is? Oh, okay, let me jump that.
Oh, go ahead and put her on the hot spot now. Sure.
No.
Oh,
MB has a lot of opportunities.
that's, good. I mean, that's good.
She was in a very hard position. I've
cried a lot.
I've
I still cry.
What, 3 years, right? 3 years on the contract there, or was it longer?
But
For you here. Was it like?
I came here in 2023.
Oh,
But MB's had a contract since 2020.
oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, she's only been here a little over a year. July
July 2022.
would be 2 years. Okay, so almost 2 years.
Now,
Yeah, we
how's
put
the,
her in a hard boat because I really wanted her to stay.
how's the
I love
service,
Oregon, don't get me wrong, I love Oregon, I love it here, but, I just see a lot more opportunities and things for them to do. I could be bad, who knows? Anything can happen, you know,
Now we have them doctors.
I'll send her love postcards every once in a while. How you doing up there in Washington?
or wherever I am, I don't know where I'm gonna end up right now, I do know that the setting they're very big on training their people. Very big on training their people, and they have General Manager Development Academy, which is a 6-week course that they've wanted me to take since I started. But I can't grow one division, me going back and forth between Dallas and here. So they're like, you're going to the Delta Academy starting in August. I'm like, okay, I can do that.
That's wonderful. Very happy for you. You will go far.
has the service between Sandy and the mountain changed at all?
So the inner line between the Estacada and Village Shuttle service also added 3 runs to the Village Shuttle service. So they have added to the Village Shuttle service. Mountain Express has not changed.
Okay.
So I'll move us into legislation. Today, I've heard we are supposed to see a transportation package come out of, it's been. They're waiting until the very, very last minute. But I was in Oregon Transit Association's executive session this morning. And they expect to see a bill come out today. There's been a lot of wrangling and back and forth. So the Oregon Transit Association, and TriMet have been, really having a lot of conversations with legislators and with the Joint Committee on Transportation, and I'm sure that we've talked about it, but I can't remember. The Joint Committee on Transportation did a road show across the state where they learned about, the state of Oregon's transportation system, and everywhere they went, just like in 2017, they heard transit is very important and we need it and we would like to see funding. And so, originally, a transportation package was floated. OTA has requested, and this is in the TriMet part, which is not in my, I sure thought I put it in here. No, I did, right here. So this is, information that TriMet put together, for the, lobby transit day at the Capitol. I brought it to share because it pretty much highlights the talking points that we all talked about when we met with legislators. So we were all there. This was in April. And OTA is requesting up to 0.5%, which would be phased in, and that is this little graph here. And so TriMet is especially anxious about this funding because TriMet is having some revenue issues. I'm sure that's no news to you, right? Sorry if it was. They're on a fiscal cliff. They say by fiscal year 30, I think they go off their cliff. It's around the corner. It's close.
2027, they're supposed to cut 52 of the routes.
That's true. Wow.
I don't see that happening, but I mean, who knows where the administration's going? That's kind of where it's at right now, I guess.
I can tell you from a OTA board member that a couple years ago, we really started the lobbying process about around this transportation package because we knew it would be coming. Or we hoped it would be coming. And the conversations as we went from agency to agency, they started out, and you have Sandy's one pager because we attended the road show. We also provided a bus to 2 of the road shows to transport the legislators around, but I ended up in the hospital. I was supposed to be a guide on the bus, and that's when my appendix went. But anyway, so our one pager that we shared was there, and ours remains true in the sense that funding for us, we're pretty healthy, we're pretty robust. The federal funding would hurt if we lost it, but stiff is not necessarily, where we get all of our eggs. And so, the message did start with, this is what we would do. And we're also, what's the right word? We have to increase the amount of transit that we put out to meet state goals. And climate goals. And so the Oregon transportation plan that guides the host state does put more service out there. Can we afford that? Probably not without increased funding. But then also, as we all started going through our budgets, and especially very large agencies, we've just seen so much increase in the cost of providing service that it became a real call to action about this funding, because there are a lot of really large agencies that not right now might be okay, but when they got their increases, especially in insurance costs, they realized that if they don't see some increases in funding somewhere, that they were going to be in trouble. And this is the state's way to fund transit. So all the other sources that we used to have been rolled into this. So this is the one and only way that transit is funded. So hopefully we see a package come out today that includes a payroll tax increase for transit. OTA is asking for an increase that goes up to, it ends up being, 0.005. But would be about $16 out of people's paychecks by 2032. So, just so you know, when you hear it on the news tonight, that it's out. I don't know, we don't know what's in it, so I don't know, if they have gone for the 0.5. Originally, they came out with 1.8% was what they would say, rather than 0.5. Well, 0.18. So, if that happens, one of the things I put in front of you is, and I'm sorry, it's a very large, I didn't bring it. So I'll get it later. It's a spreadsheet that shows you what we spend stiff funding on. If we did see that type of increase, that probably the first thing that we would do would be to make Sam's Gresham line Sunday service hourly, because we only run 8 times on Sundays. So that would be the first thing that the city of Sandy would see happen. And then we would probably increase our shopper shuttle hours significantly. And then we'd probably increase the Estacada village shuttle. So in that order. But it would be a significant amount of funding for the city of Sandy if that were to pass. And try that, and then you would not have a fiscal cliff, and you would not be cutting 52 routes in 2026.
I'm high enough, I'm sure I'll get one of them. That's.
Well, I will say that from what I understand, TriMet actually, in order to not go off that cliff, they need the 0.3. So if you hit the 0.3 in that bill, you're okay.
Yeah, a lot of the construction stuff has been put on hold.
Yeah.
And now they're doing all this electrical stuff, but then the mechanics like, yeah, they're not ordering any more electric buses. I'm like, then what's all that construction work for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of that goes hand in hand with the federal policy changes too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had construction at our garage, so they tear that up, do more construction, tear it up. Yeah, we sit there and shake our heads like, why did you do it the first time?
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. And one state park going events.
That is June 20th from 6 to 8 at, the new park, Cedar Ridge.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I hope everybody comes out, we'll be there, we're handing out some cool frisbees. Can take a picture on the trolley. A little more.
I'll be on vacation, just so you know.
So anyway, just wanted to throw it out there that that's happening, hope to see everybody there.
Okay. It is tomorrow. So we're bringing everything down to a close. That's it. We talked to George at RTW twice, once last week and last time yesterday. He asked us, and we're gathering all the information and giving the drivers information on the email addresses. The physical addresses and phone numbers, so you can send all the drivers off the letters. So that's what we're doing. I have buses that are being repaired by Sandy Auto County, so they will be ready for them. They're gonna remove, like Amy said, they're gonna remove direct camp for all buses the week of the 23rd. And then the 27th to the 29th to 30th. My boss and I are gonna pack everything up and leave. I really enjoy being here. I think we've done a lot together. Yeah, we have made a lot of improvements. We made started making paths to make to continue doing improve surveys, which I know George continues to look at and do as well. Like I said, I'm sad to it, but, yeah, I have to do that. Like a big, you know, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, you may say every. How long is the contract for?
We have the ability, so it's for 2 years with, the option to renew annually for 3 years after the first.
Well, I have to say, you've done a wonderful job managing this, and I'm so proud to see my baby growing.
I bet you are.
Have they found, someone to be their spokesman? Not that like, put salt on the wound here, but I mean, someone that's gonna, versus like a telephone call, someone physically be here to help do that.
We're having conversations about it behind the scenes. They have 2 positions actually, a general manager and an operations manager in their application. And those are 2 people, that would be added. We are also having discussions about internally, if we were to promote someone possibly, or if we want to keep things the way they are. We're, yeah, trying to figure out the best, but they are sending their own team, yes.
Oh, okay.
Capital projects.
Our buses are due to be finished at the end of June, the end of this month. We did request on behalf of our city manager and ODOT that we find a way to be billed after the fiscal year starts. And they said, sure, we can do that. By the time they road test them, etc., it would be July anyway. So, that helps ODOT because they get their coffers filled by the federal government for their new fiscal year. And so, we'll see them show up at the beginning of July. Probably the biggest thing that we're gonna want some feedback on, is that we are going to change the wrap of our bus.
Oh. To what?
I know, it's a big deal. It's a very big deal, and I wasn't going to change the wrap. I was like, we're just gonna keep it the way it is. And then we were like, well, no, we need to call out that it's electric and, we need to make a big deal out of this capital investment. And so we started thinking about adding small things and then we had more conversations and, we've seen a lot of electric buses that are these beautiful flowers and just, really getting the statement across that it's environmentally friendly. And so, the company that we have been using for our wraps for a little while, I guess they're pretty new to us, actually.
Yeah, they are.
The company we used to work with, are outsourcing now and haven't been great. And so we're working with a new company and they've recommended a photographer and, they've got some really great ideas and we're going to make it local to Sandy. And instead of just having the mountain, we've sent them to Tickle Creek Trail and said, let's get some Tickle Creek Trail on the bus. We are scheduling to have a fly fisherman fishing on the Sandy River and have the photographer take pictures of that and then make kind of a collage on these buses of what Sandy proper has to offer. We'll probably keep the mountain in there, as like a backdrop, but with collages of the beautiful things that you
I
can
would
do
like
while
to see
you're
the
in the
buses
city.
painted lighter color. Maybe
They will be a
white.
different color.
Because the blue, when you're a driver, that blue doesn't show up very well until you're almost up to the bus.
Really? Cause I
Yeah.
think they stand out.
Especially during clear weather. So, it'd be nice to have them, some more white on it someplace so that it
Well,
became
I
more
have a
visible.
feeling you're gonna see these buses.
I mean, did you get,
3.
and those are 100% electric.
Mm-hmm.
But I do
Are they
like
good?
mountain logo.
Mhm.
Yeah, put in, part of the function.
We sent them to Cedar Park, so I haven't seen the photographs yet, but we did, and we sent them, I mean, obviously, the photo we have now is taken from Johns Road viewpoint. So it actually is a very City of Sandy photo, it's not just the mountain, it's Johns Road viewpoint. But, we'd like to just incorporate a lot more of Sandy onto those buses.
Is there any chance of selling an advertising spot on buses for a certain amount to local businesses? Would that help any on the budget?
We've been asked, I will not put anything on the outside of buses. I might do Sandy Net, I might allow Sandy Net, but we'd have to create a policy. Cause I wouldn't mind, it's another city amenity that I would like to promote
Or on the bike rack.
on the back.
Oh,
They have asked for it on the back, but the bike rack might be an option.
Cause that, we have them on ours, when there's no ad, we're like, we're used to seeing ads and.
Right.
And now the ads are all the vinyl, they come on and off. But yeah, I was thinking the bike rack, then it doesn't take from the rack.
Yeah, that's a good idea. See,
Or inside the bus, if there's.
that's
inside
how
the
it
bus
start
would
with
be better.
inside,
Yeah.
for sure, in the channel card area,
Yeah.
yeah. Definitely start there. There's a lot of administrative work around that I just haven't gotten to. I mean, you have to create a policy around who you're going to allow to, put ads on your bus. And then you have to have the materials, and typically someone else makes it, and so then is it worth it? Yeah, so I just haven't gone there. We haven't needed it yet.
Sounds a little complicated.
Exactly.
But I was thinking Fred Meyer could do a little thing.
Yeah.
They're so big.
Yep,
I wouldn't put
absolutely.
a Sally be outside of the bus.
No.
Advertisement though.
Except maybe Sandy Net.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna say we are, the federal government did just release a grant announcement that's due July something or other, that, we will be applying for funding for our building out there through that grant application process. I don't have super high hopes because it's a nationwide grant and there's not a lot of money available in it. But we'll see what we can do. NEPA is still happening. We keep plugging away. We've pretty much had, 0 movement on the fed side.
Can I ask,
Yep.
from my ignorance, what is NEPA?
It is, good question. It's the National Environmental Protection Act. And we have to fill out a lot of, it's called DCE, which is, basically a lot of not just paperwork, but we've actually had to hire consultants, for example, to do a cultural analysis. So they come out, they survey, they pick some spots, they dig, they make sure there's no artifacts. Right now so that actually just happened in April. And, right now we have moved into hazardous materials. So we have someone coming out this month. And they've started asking us questions about what the property was used for in the past. Has there been do we do maintenance here? Do we have chemicals underground? Are there drums anywhere? That kind of stuff.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome. So we are doing a lot, but we are not hearing very much from the other side.
Now our buses all run on gas at this time.
Yeah, they do.
Because I know people who have electrical cars that during the weather had one heck of a time getting them to charge. because it was so cold out.
Yeah, it does make a difference. I mean, it does. I have an electric car, an electric bike. It does make a difference, for sure. Hopefully we won't have those issues and we'll still have diesel buses.
Have you, I know a long time ago, we talked about, charging stations in Sandy for your buses or in Gresham. What's our situation here?
Good question. Until we get through all of the NEPA processes and have permission from the federal government to put in an extra, new line. PGE needs to put in a new line and then install the chargers. We will not have chargers here. So our backup answer is to either charge at Fred Meyer if we can, or to borrow until we either rent or buy our own. Wilsonville has a portable charger that is run by diesel.
Mm.
So, shh, we're gonna keep all that real quiet for a little while until we have it in place.
I could see charging the little red truck because it's just local,
Yeah,
but I'm not impressed with the stats I've heard on charges so far.
well, unfortunately, it's really hard to get enough batteries on a size of vehicle like our little trolley. So there's not a lot of medium-sized electric vehicles in the transit world yet. No, you gotta go big or go small.
And it's actually more expensive than using gas, from what I understand.
Well, that's not what I've read.
Oh,
So
really?
let's cross our fingers that, that the money you save in maintenance, lube oil and filters on,
We'll pay for the installation.
We'll pay for it, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and we have a federal grant to pay for the installation,
Oh,
so. We're also good
it'll
there.
be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, let's cross our fingers. I hear it's actually, a lot less expensive to maintain.
Oh, I know they're less expensive to maintain, they say.
And they're supposed to run all day, and if you shut them off, it's a nightmare to get them started again. If it's the same ones we have.
For grins and giggles, maybe some board meeting, we'll watch Josephine counties catch on fire.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoy that.
Except then we all get really worried and we don't need that. It's needless worrying. So yeah, a lot to tackle there. So I'm keeping our electric vehicles pretty quiet until we've got everything
Oh, yes.
ironed out.
Outstanding.
And if I could
And
just
stay.
plug my, leaving company. Was it Friday, we sat in a webinar about, electric buses and planning for emergencies and things like that. And making sure that the fire department knows whenever you call in, let them know that it's electric vehicle is. So, cause
Yeah, we had some good conversations come out of watching that video.
there was a fire department, how they have to know what's brave. And like, the video that we watched, fire department came, and then when they got there, they said, oh, we need the boat trucks, they head up to, so. A lot of things that they learned from Jefferson.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, I need to send them that. I need to reach out to our,
Bus gets rear-ended, they have to evacuate. That's what we're told. It doesn't matter how hard of it hit, they have to evacuate the bus.
that makes
For-
sense.
for
The batteries are up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're lucky, none of them have been rear-ended. Out of my garage, so. As far that we can get, it's just drivers shut them off and then
Can't get them back started.
the bus does
Good to
just,
know.
yeah, they're temperamental to try to get them started again. Or turn on, I should say. So,
We won't have any of those problems.
nah, most of them are on the road now. So, must have got all the bugs worked out.
That's great. Wilsonville has had a couple in service for a while that have been good too, so. We're all just, and it's Gillig, I believe in Gillig. They will come
Like
through.
any car that have trips.
Yeah, they will. I mean, any bus that we order always has, I've learned, the first time I ever ordered a bus and it had issues, I was like freaking out about it. Now I've learned they all have some. Can't turn the windshield
Yeah,
wipers
they
off
mass
or
produce them, so
something.
they-
Yeah, it's always something. Yeah. Okay. So financials, you have. I think. Did I print the financials for you? I did not. Oh. Sorry. So they are up here. I don't know that you can see them, but part of our audit.
But if you go to the bottom right, I think you can make that a little bit bigger.
Part of our audit was to be sure that we share our financials with our board members.
My turn.
Well, I mean, I should be able to. There we go. And so I will. Nancy, would you do me a favor and print this? It's under the tab. June, and then just financials. Just in case you guys want to dig deep, thank you. Dig deep into the line by line, how we're spending our money. But this is April, May isn't out yet from the finance department. And really, to be honest, probably the main things that you care about in this room are that this is our revenue, and as of April, we still, this is what we generated to date, which is 397,000, almost 398,000 less than what we budgeted for the whole year. So we've got a couple months still. And on the expense side, let's see, current total budget was is that right? I don't think that's right. Oh yeah, because it's for a year. So almost 3 million. And we have spent, well, shoot. I need the whole spreadsheet to be able to explain it.
You probably see how.
2.9. See if I can. Well, there we go. Is that it? I don't know why our total activity is only $94,255, because that cannot possibly be correct. Oh, because I'm in our capital. That's why. I'm sorry, I'm in our capital. Did I cut off our expense by itself? Or no, that's our capital. Federal grants. Nope, that's capital improvement.
Yeah, but third one, looks like slide number 6, is that what I'm talking about?
That's our revenue.
Oh,
This is our revenue. These are all of our various line items for our expenses. And this should, at the very top, be, but it's not because it's our capital improvement. So I have cut off, I'm glad she's printing our, thank you, because I cut it off on here. Oh, it is tiny.
Thank you.
Okay. Much better. So if you see on the second page, expense total, our budget was a little over 7 million and we have spent 5.5 million. So we currently still have 1.6 million. Very good.
till the end of June.
For the end of June.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
You can have an employee picnic, yeah. Put the money to good use.
Okay, that's what we'll do. Just kidding. We'll roll it over to next time.
That would be quite a bit.
Where are we going? Yeah, where are we going?
I know. Tahiti is beautiful.
Just so you know, these are posted on, I actually had a question about this recently. These are posted monthly on the city's websites and they are presented to city council every month, which is technically our governing body. So you're not solely responsible for making sure that I'm being responsible because the entire city has provided this information as well as city council, but it is always good as a board to make sure that someone is spending their money properly and appropriately. Okay, any questions about financials? We obviously, when I was like, wait, why is that 3 million? But we've only spent 94,000 because I was in the capital. And obviously, we thought we were going to buy $3 million worth of buses this fiscal year, and we will be rolling that to next fiscal year, so.
So you're allowed to come under budget, you're allowed to keep that money and carry it over to the next year.
Yes, the city of Sandy is actually pretty unique in that sense, that if we do not spend all of our money, it is rolled over for that department.
Is this a rollover from the year before, or?
Yes, so as long as I've been here, I think there was a time that maybe we dropped to 500,000 that we had in the bank, but for the most part, we have almost always had about $1 million. And that's really important. We did have a time period in 2018, I wanna say, that the federal government shut down. And so we did not receive federal funding for about 8 months. And we were fine. We didn't have to cut service or anything along those lines because we have reserves.
We don't know what the future is, so it's a good thing to have it.
Exactly. Yep. So we try really hard to keep it around $1 million at least.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Very proud of that action.
just because you have a budget doesn't mean you have to spend it all.
That's right.
This is what I tell them on the football board, just because they give you a budget doesn't mean you have to spend every penny of it.
That's right. Fortunately, that is why it's important for anywhere to be able to roll their own money over though, because if you're gonna lose it, then you do want to spend it, right? Because you might not get it the next year.
That's right.
So, but if they tell you this is yours, even if you don't spend it, there's no need to,
For any
you
day.
can be as, yep, frugal as you possibly can and know it's still there if you need it. So. Good job, City of Sandy.
Question.
yeah,
Andy, maybe I missed this at the last meeting, but. What's the status of the loan payback from the police department?
Good question that was asked at the budget committee meeting and, they still have 4 years
Oh,
to pay us back.
okay.
They are paying, they're obviously in good status. We get a transfer twice a year, it gets transferred. But there is still 4 years on that loan. Sandy Net did pay theirs off already.
They did.
Yep. Okay,
Neighbor
yay.
updates?
I don't think we have neighbor updates.
No, I don't think there's anything.
Um. Yeah, I don't think so. I know the county is starting to. Update their transit development plan. And. The county and the city of Sandy, as you all know, was awarded the federal lands access program funds again, which we've received for a while now. We have not received those funds in probably 3 or 4 years now because of things happening in Washington. We are supposed to start seeing those the federal fiscal year, which is October. I think that's it. Because we haven't, we've found other ways to pay for the services while we weren't receiving funding, so I don't think that seeing those funds comes in means that we'll see any new service on Mountain Express or Village Shuttle. Yeah. Other than the 3 ones that we just added with the inner line, so I think we've already talked about their updates. So I think I haven't seen any members of the public come on board, so. I don't believe we have unless you would like to give public comment.
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no further business, no additions, move that we close and adjourn meeting at 6. 8, 7.
Wonderful. We got done early. That's great. Thank you all.
Thank you.